Welcome to the Anime Bucket Quest! Let's get started!
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Anime Bucket Quest. I am your host, Stefan Chais, and thank you for joining me on this quest as to go to the top 100 anime you need to watch before you kick the bucket. And thank you so much for joining me after a great premiere episode. Thank you for joining me. I know it's been a while, but guess what? Let's start with episode 2. Let's get the ball rolling. Hope you enjoyed the first episode of the review. So right now, the next anime we're going to talk about is My Goddess. This is from 2005, but it's been around since like early 90s. It's based on a long-running manga by Kosuke Fujishima, which actually finished about, when I researched this, it actually finished about 2014. There's a lot of OVAs that were released in the early 90s. There was a movie, a spin-off, but the main focus that we're going to work on is the actual 2005 TV series itself. The genre is pretty much a romantic comedy. It has supernatural harem, which is kind of light on the harem side. Slice of life. It's kind of like the ultimate example of what they call the, quote, magical girlfriend type of trope. We're pretty much introduced to Keiichi Morisato, a kind-hearted, unlucky college student. He actually dials the goddess relief office while trying to order takeout, which comes to being bad luck. Pretty much, the goddess Belldandy appears and offers him one wish. Of course, Keiichi doesn't believe it. He thinks this is like someone playing a prank on him. So he decides, you know what? I'm just gonna, blurt out the most random thing and see if this actually works. So he's like, I wish a goddess like you would stay by my side forever. Unfortunately, the wish got granted, and now Belldandy ends up joining him. And actually ends up being with him because she's a goddess and she has to fulfill her duties. So, and what I like about this right now is like, this is, like I said, this is like early 2000s. So, there's been a lot of like harem anime and manga. But with this one, it's kind of like not your typical, okay, the guy's a perv or anything, which honestly, which I'm going to get into deep with the characters. It's basically a relationship with these characters. Let's go ahead and jump right into these characters themselves. We started with Keiichi Morisato, who's kind of like the hero on this anime, of this anime slash manga. What I can describe him as being unlucky, but profoundly pure of heart and dedicated. That purity is what the system deemed him worthy of the wish. So he's not a creep. He's not like a pervert or anything. He's a typical nice guy. And what he has when it comes to his internal mental conflict is he's genuinely in love with Belldandy, but he struggles with the social awkwardness and expressing his feelings because he doesn't know how to act around her. He's never had feelings for somebody. And what I like about it, he has like, these wholesome feelings, not like, oh, I want to, get with her or anything like that, which kind of makes a difference versus other like harem like anime where the guy's jumping over the girls or the girls are going after the guy. So this is kind of like, this guy was kind of like the most wholesome. There's awkward situations in this anime which can be streamed as kind of, fan servicey, but not really. It's not as much fan servicey as people think. It's something that, early 2000s anime is. Compared now where you don't see as much fan service now, it depends what you read. Of course, he's part of motorcycles. His primary focus right now is building his own custom bike, and he's part of motor club while he's in college. So he has that to focus on, while at the same time trying to build like a relationship with Belldandy. But his ultimate dream is pretty much, build the ultimate bike. Of course, we're introduced to Belldandy, who pretty much, she's incredibly beautiful. She's kind. She's gentle. She possesses this immense magical power. She's the embodiment of unconditional love and patience. So even though she's a guy, she's learning about the world, and she's trying her best to make sure she's fulfilling the wish that Keiichi asked of her, and pretty much impress her bosses in the God service, the goddess helpline. So she's trying, learning about humans, what are Keiichi's interests, what his likes, dislikes, and just try and fulfill that end of the contract. Um, and when it comes to her limits, like her powers are tied to her contract and her quote license, which adds a layer of tension, occasional restriction to the plot. So over time, she does develop some kind of feelings towards Keiichi, and as a goddess herself, it's hard for her to understand human emotions, and she's just trying her best to support Keiichi in any needs that he needs. Helping him out with the motorcycle club, or just helping around, when he needs her. And she's aware of Keiichi's like your romantic feelings. And of course, romance for her is kind of different because, like I said, when this first was introduced, it's more like it's a job that she has to fulfill. But like I said, when you watch the anime and watch these characters evolve, it becomes more than that. So we'll get into more when we talk about. Let's introduce the other characters that kind of create kind of like the comedic side and kind of like chaos and awkward situations. We have Erd, who's kind of like the older sister. She's like a hybrid goddess slash demon, which we learn later on in the series. And the way I describe her, she's kind of like this agent of chaos. Her power is pretty much related to the past, and she has love advice, which kind of is not when she tries to give love advice to Belldandy. It's kind of like almost kind of like bad, and Belldandy takes it seriously, even though it's she's like Erd is pretty much teasing her. She's kind of like the comedic relief, and she has that temptation slash chaos or conflict. So she's kind of like there's your fan servicey type of awkward situational thing. And of course, you got Scold, who's kind of like the younger sister, but she's also a genius. She's kind of like the engineer. She's pretty much the agent of the future. She's usually responsible of Keiichi for taking her sister away. Her powers involve it. She's inventing in mechanics. So she's like, the overprotective little sister. But over time, she starts opening up to Keiichi. And she sees him almost like a big brother type. And she understands why Belldandy goes to lengths to help, Keiichi with his things. And, Keiichi kind of like respects her genius. And she's trying to learn, humanity as well. So it's like, because she's the goddess of the future. So Belldandy's the goddess of the past. You got the agent of chaos. So she's kind of like the future. She's kind of like, she looks up to Belldandy and Erd as kind of like, their mentorship, so she can learn to be a proper goddess. And of course, there's the whole theme of the show so far is the existence of Belldandy and the witch constantly draws in gods and demons who challenge the contract, testing Keiichi and Belldandy's faith in each other. So you'll introduce other characters, some supporting characters, some antagonists. We introduce another demon who try to push the limits and try to test Keiichi and Belldandy's dedication to each other. And there's times where their relationship is tested. Belldandy, tries to compete with other humans who try to take Keiichi away, and there's demons that try to cause chaos for Belldandy. But as they work together through these things, they eventually overcome these obstacles. Which I kind of like this anime. It's kind of wholesome. And it's kind of comedy. It's like comedic. Yeah, it's 2005. I mean, it is dated, but it is kind of hilarious. Well, about the themes that I pull up from this show, there's a lot of themes I kind of took notes on. We got the power of virtue. This show kind of makes it clear that Keiichi's goddess and selflessness are why he was chosen. It's a very honest human nature. He's a decent guy. He's not perverted. Doesn't have bad intentions when he came to this wish for Belldandy. That's the reason why he was chosen. He's a typically nice guy. And it's mostly and then I have pure romance versus harem. Like, unlike many series, like with multiple beautiful girls, Oh My Guys is actually fundamentally about Keiichi and Belldandy relationship. It's like, it just focuses more on them. People say it's to me on the harem side, it's kind of light. It's not your typical harem where they're all fighting for his affection. It's more focused on the relationship to Keiichi and Belldandy. The other girls and goddesses are kind of like the Callus. They're not technically rivals. They're not genuine rivals. It's the series, like I said, what I was talking about earlier, is about maintaining a stable, loving relationship despite supernatural odds. So they're not like now the girls are pining for Keiichi. Mostly like Scold and are just trying to help Belldandy all they can. Well, Keiichi's friends in the motor club and his senpai are the same way, are trying to help him as well with Belldandy. So then you have the unbreakable contract, which the whole callus of what the series is focusing on is the contract is barely it's fate versus free will. The contract is a little bond of destiny. You know, like I said, there's different like conflicts from the celestial side and demonic forces that try to pull them apart, proving that their love is stronger than any system or curse. So there's times where, like I said, the relationship is tested from the heavenly side and the demon side. They try to test, like, are they good together? Is Belldandy worthy to be with Keiichi? Is Keiichi worthy enough to be with Belldandy? It's like their, contract is put to the test. And even the point in the episodes where Belldandy has to go away and pretty much, get her license renewed because something happens at the Goddess Helpline Network. So sometimes she has to, go do her thing, same thing with Skull and Earth. So that's why having her other siblings there kind of helps Keiichi while Belldandy's, she's also learning. So, like, she's evolving as not just a god, but like for a fact, she's not power hungry. She's not, trying to seduce Keiichi or anything. She's learning. Well, I like that she doesn't want to use her power too much because she has that limit. And overall, I enjoy this anime so much. Let's get to the high points of this show. Pretty much when it comes to art and design, Belldandy's design is iconic. The 2005 anime looks fantastic first time. It looks really good. I mean, the animation looks flawless. Even the opening is kind of good too. It has like this emotional stability. It's a low stress comfort anime. Despite the magical elements, that relationship is constantly wholesome and heartwarming. That's all I was talking about. And when it comes to the music, the theme is actually kind of cool. It has that great classical J-pop / rock opening themes. The only thing I see on the side is the only thing I find is the slow pacing of the anime. Since the main couple was established early, the progression is very slow. So if you're somebody that likes constant romantic drama and cliffhangers, you're gonna find it mighty frustrating. So that's the one thing I kind of felt that was my low point for the show, is because it's really slow paced. Because, like I said, Belldandy and Keiichi, by the time it's the first episode, the relationship is already established. So it's not like today's like modern anime when it comes to romantic comedy, where okay, the person has a crush, but it's like that slow build. It's not. It's still rush here. It's slow. So if you're like somebody, you know, that wants that romantic tension and all that right way. Unfortunately, with this anime, it's gonna be kind of slow. It's a very slow pace, and of course, his passivity. Keiichi often relies on Belldandy or his friends to solve problems, to be seen as weak, writing a reflection of his humble. So he has this like non-aggressive personality. So sometimes he's like, there's times where he feels that he can solve problems, but honestly, it's over use of his friends and Belldandy to help him with his problems. So sometimes, you're gonna find like I love his wholesomeness, his non-previous personality, but when it comes to solving problems, he's over relying on Belldandy and his friends. He hardly takes time to try to solve the problem himself. He's always constantly asking for help. So that's why you're probably gonna see him as more weak. So, like I said, but overall, like I said, he's a nice guy. So my thing for this final verdict, does it belong in this anime bucket list? I will say yes. In my opinion, yes, it does belong. It's arguably the definitive magical growth anime and a beautiful example of mature, pure relationship in the medium. So, like I said, there's like some quotes that I kind of, find that, one of my favorite quotes from like Belldandy is, "It is I who am truly fortunate to have found one who wishes are so pure and whose heart is so kind." That's like one of my favorite quotes that she says when she describes what Keiichi is when they first um brings it. So that's why I like it. And like I said, Keiichi works his hardest to try to live up to that wish that he asked for. So like he's kind of like I would say he's kind of like what he represents the viewer of the anime. But like I said, this does belong on this bucket list. It's a beautiful anime. It's something I do enjoy. So definitely, if you definitely want to check it out. Unfortunately, I have to go through YouTube or third-party means to watch the anime. It's not actually available on Crunchyroll or High Dive or other streaming platforms. So you might have to try to see if they have it on Prime Video, where you can buy the anime. Hopefully, you can find it on a print DVD, or you can also read the manga to get you an idea. But if you can find it on clips on YouTube, maybe the studio that made this has like a streaming site for it. But definitely, when you have the opportunity, definitely check it out because it does play with your emotions. Yeah, it's a romantic comedy, but it's a slow pace. Like if you love slow paced romantic comedies, this is the one for you. If you don't, unfortunately, if you don't want to see it, like I said, just be prepared. Like I said, this is from 2005, so just be prepared. A lot of jokes are dated, but overall, it does belong on this bucket list. I do agree with the poster for doing that. So that takes out anime number 2 of the 100. So thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Anime Bucket Quest, and make sure to follow me on Instagram at the franchise. You can find the stream. You can find the episodes on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and also on YouTube at Anime Bucket Quest. Join me next time as we take over to the next anime we're going to cover, which will be that beautiful original anime known as Angel Beats. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, geek on, take care, and watch anime.